Great. And in terms of your preparation, like I was going to say, the other thing about going over the lines is that needs to be qualified by an understanding that you don't want to waste time and fall short of completing the paper, right?
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
what was your kind of
Yeah.
process there with practicing? Like, how many papers do you think you did before the HSC and before trials? And did you time yourself? And how did you manage time? And how did you kind of foresee how much time you would have per question?
I can't remember the exact number of practice exams that I did like before trials and before the HSC, but I just tried to do as many as possible. I wasn't the type of person that like liked timing, doing timed responses or like timed exams, just because I found that that would kind of stress me out like
Okay.
just before the HSC. And I didn't want that because then I would kind of start freaking out over it and like overthinking. So it was definitely kind of more in a casual way, like saying, okay, this is what could be on the exam. Like, this is the kind of thing that you need to be aware of. And in times where like I was particularly struggling with a question, I would like check what like the solutions kind of said, like, use that as a guideline, and then kind of formulate my response with that like structure or those examples or that explanation in mind.
Mm.
So it definitely wasn't like, oh, you've got to like consciously active like recall like all the time. It was like, okay, you can like refer to your notes when you need to, and like seek out like those solutions if you need to, like over time. And then that kind of helped as well, like going into more responses and like being aware of what I need to look for and how I need to like answer it.
Yes, great. And how important was memorization, if at all, in this process? Because it sounds like you're going through this very like natural process of looking back at your notes, applying them again. You're probably naturally going to remember more and more throughout that. But was there any explicit process for you of memorizing and making sure, hey, I just need to know these three examples for this topic. I need to know this definition. Talk us through that.
I used flashcards particularly for definitions, not like all of the time, but especially for ones that I really needed to work on. Like I would create like a little pile of flashcards and just kind of go through them when need be. But in terms of memorization, that's where I kind of found the talking through it helped as
Mm.
well. Like kind of talking through it, being able to get it into my head, like even handwriting responses and then looking over them and like handwriting different responses that are kind of similar.
Mm.
It's just a lot of like kind of,
It's
I'm
practice
sorry.
but no, no, I understand. So when you're saying you're like talking through it though, so people can understand, are you talking through it without looking at your notes?
Yeah, like talking through it without looking at notes, or like putting the notes behind me. And then like if I was really struggling or I like couldn't find the words, or
Mm.
like I went off track, I would kind of take a little look at them, like kind of read over what it was,
Yeah.
and then put them back behind me and keep on going. Even kind of like a look cover right check sort
Yeah,
of
I was just about to say
situation.
that.
Yeah, that's
It
definitely
never
like,
gets old. It always works.
it always works. It's like
Yeah.
foolproof. It helps
Yeah.
majorly. So I definitely recommend that one.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
No, that's a very good tip. Do you have any other tips in terms of collecting notes? I feel like with bio, it's something that people could make hundreds of pages of notes for. You've already mentioned a few ways to simplify it and condense it through like tables and flowcharts and things like that. But do you want to just run us through a list of ways that you think someone could go about, getting all of the content down without having hundreds of pages of notes?
As much as I do recommend like kind of seeking out as much as you can, like as much as possible, kind of providing yourself like, I guess maybe limiting yourself to like a couple of solid examples like
Mm.
per kind of concept or like per dot point, like so that you're able to kind of get through them in detail and elaborate on them and apply them solidly and cohesively like within an argument. And getting that in-depth knowledge as well will help like with the application of that particular concept as well.
Yes, and it sounds like just a huge part of that and a part of the answer there is just focusing on applying and having some base notes, but really talking through points yourself without looking, doing past questions, and then only looking if you have to. I mean, that sounds like that was like the key to your approach.